Exposed, a female billionaire's stunning rescue by a poor farmer with an unexpected, dark secret. Lily Thompson stared at her phone, the relentless notifications buzzing like angry hornets in her palm. Her world, once secure and thriving, was now dissolving in a whirlwind of outrage sparked by her thoughtless post. Irregular breathing hung in the air, thick with unease. She had always been the independent powerhouse of Silicon Valley, but now she felt like a puppet whose strings had been cut. Each scathing comment echoed her fears. Would her multi-billion-dollar company survive this, or was it destined to crash into ruin? The weight of her family's legacy pressed down harder than ever. How could she salvage both her reputation and their expectations? Frustration mounted within her. It was a classic miscalculation, the kind that defined her, a systematic risk that had somehow spiraled beyond her control. She pictured her boardroom, faces turned against her, the whispers enveloping her like a noose. "You should have known better," they would say, a symphony of judgment. Even though it wasn't the first skirmish she faced, the impending storm felt different, more personal. Did they view her merely as a billionaire, stripped of her humanity? Waves of dread washed over her, and she couldn't shake the lingering shame that accompanied it. But rather than fight, she yearned for escape, to lose herself in anonymity and retreat to where it all began. Before she could think better of it, she made the decision. She would head back to the family's dilapidated farmhouse in Nebraska. The memories of summers spent in cornfields flew to the forefront of her mind, but they were now overshadowed by a place forgotten, overrun with weeds and despair. As she sped along the back roads, she wrestled with her thoughts, a cacophony of self-doubt swirling like the dust behind her tires. Just then, a lightning flash sliced through the sky. The sky darkened ominously. Anxiety knotted in her stomach. This wasn't a simple drive. In an instant, her tires lost grip amidst the mud, and the car slid off the road with an earth-shattering thud. Panic set in as the rain began to pour. The world outside turned into a blinding blur. Before she could process her situation, she heard a voice, deep and assuring, breaking through the chaos. A figure emerged from the storm, rugged and handsome, pulling her from the wreckage just moments before the storm unleashed its fury. "Are you okay?" Jake Morgan's stormy blue eyes captured hers, ordinary yet extraordinary, and she fought the flood of emotions triggered by his presence. His strength resonated with her, rooted deeply in a land she'd been so eager to escape. But beneath the electricity buzzed a tension thicker than the storm clouds above, the unspoken truth that their lives were woven together by secrets neither fully understood. As they took shelter in the farmhouse, the ghosts of their families loomed large over them. Shared stories flickered like candlelight amid growing shadows, but the late-night confessions uncovered fractures hidden deep in their pasts. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Jake's calloused hands glimmered with earth and hope, lifting her spirits, but shadows of doubt clung to her like vines. Every laugh shared sparked a flicker of light, every memory they unveiled stung with their dissimilarity. Their growing bond collided head-on with an enduring dread. His secrets, rooted in betrayal, threatened everything she held dear. The tension roared to life as Jake hesitated, a letter cradled in his palm, the written word that could unravel everything they'd begun to stitch together. She could feel the storm within him, echoing the tempest outside, their futures tangled in an unforgiving web of loyalty and fear. Would she turn away from the flames ignited within her? Or would she stand by this man, who might just dare her to fight against more than just her company's downfall? The weight of their interconnected destinies pressed upon her, a promise of transformation amid the treacherous path ahead, one she could no longer ignore. The morning light filtered through the cracked window pane, illuminating the dust motes that danced in the air. Lily's heart raced as she opened her eyes, her thoughts immediately drawn to the storm that had tossed her life into disarray. The sound of rain had faded, leaving only a dull thud of her own heartbeat in the silence. Jake sat across the room, his expression inscrutable as he glanced at the letter, fingers nervously tracing its edges. There it was again, the whisper of secrets that threatened to pull her back into a world of complications and chaos. The haunted expression in his eyes ignited a pang of empathy within her, tethering her to him in a way she had never anticipated. "Lily," Jake began slowly, his voice thick with emotion, "there's a lot you don't know about us." The weight of his words hung heavy in the air, mirroring her own inner turmoil. She took a deep breath, aware that this moment could reshape everything she had come to understand about herself and her life. "Tell me," she said, compelling herself to remain steady, to confront instead of retreat. As he unfolded the letter, a flood of trepidation washed over her. It was a pivotal moment where the outcome stretched before her, like the never-ending horizon outside the farmhouse. Moments like this stirred something dormant inside her, a yearning for authenticity, a clarity she had lost amidst swirling corporate demands and familial expectations. "I owe it to you to be transparent," Jake said, his hands trembling. "This letter changes everything." It was supposed to bring closure, but what? The silence grew pungent with unsaid truths. Each revelation could shatter the fragile connection they had begun to forge, yet Lily felt a magnetic pull toward it. What lay beneath the surface might reveal the keys to their intertwined destinies, to understanding herself amidst the chaos. "I need to know the truth to decide what I'm fighting for," she urged. With a decisive inhale, Jake laid the letter on the table as if the weight of it was too much to bear. "It's from my father. He reveals things about our families, about why we're connected in more ways than we could possibly grasp." Her mind raced. Echoes of her childhood, her family's history filled with secrets and half-told stories flooded back. How many more threads tied her to him? "Those secrets, they've haunted me," Jake admitted, and she could see the pain etched into his features. "It's not just about me or you. It's about everything, the legacy of our families." A strange sense of empowerment swelled within her. She thought of her own legacy, the expectations she carried like an albatross around her neck. Here, in the corners of this decrepit farmhouse, was a chance to break free, to redefine what it meant not just to be a billionaire, but a woman unafraid to confront the past and face the uncertainties of the future. "Let us read it together," she suggested, her voice carrying unexpected firmness. He hesitated, but she held his gaze, willing him to trust her. Together they could face whatever lay ahead, both his family's secrets and her own reckoning. As they unfolded the letter, revealing truths that could either bind them together or pull them apart, Lily felt something shift within her. The storm outside had passed, yet she was aware that a much bigger storm, one of monumental decisions and self-discovery, was just beginning. And she was ready to face it. The weight of the letter felt like a catalyst for her to reclaim her identity. "Whatever we find here," she said clearly, "we'll confront it together." Jake's eyes widened, reflecting a flicker of hope amid the encroaching fear. But as the first lines spilled secrets onto the table, an unsettling realization washed over her. This wasn't just about them anymore. The stakes were higher than she had ever imagined. Would this revelation alter the trajectory of her company and her life's work? With narrowed focus, she prepared for the unveiling that could change everything. The time had come to face their entwined fates. As the truth began to emerge, one question loomed heavily in her mind: would the revelations empower her or bury her further in complicated legacies? The letter's contents unfolded slowly, revealing a tapestry of intertwined lives, a complex narrative woven with threads of ambition, betrayal, and unexpected loyalties. As Jake read each line, his voice trembled, exposing layers of vulnerability beneath his hardened exterior. Lily leaned in, her breath catching as the words painted a picture darker than she had ever expected. "Your family, they made decisions for us, even before we were born," Jake said, disbelief seeping through his tone. "There were agreements, partnerships that my father made, aligning our fates without consulting us. Our lives have been dictated by their expectations." With each revelation, a sense of purpose ignited within Lily. The terms of the partnership, the weight of unasked-for legacies felt suffocatingly familiar. Her own life was riddled with expectations from family and society, but now, infused with this shared struggle, she saw an opportunity for redefinition. "Then let us define it ourselves," she responded, the intensity surging through her. "We have the power to break those chains and create something meaningful." Jake paused, uncertainty flickering in his dark eyes. You don't understand, Lily. My family exactly. Your family's decisions shouldn't dictate who we become. This is our chance to reclaim our narratives. The words flowed like a river breaking free from a dam, each syllable rich with the promise of empowerment. It was in this moment that Lily recognized the resolve building within her, a determination that had lain dormant amidst the chaos of her high-stakes corporate life. The electric current of purpose drove her forward, she felt it in her bones. Here, the hushed whispers of family secrets morphed into a clarion call for agency, for authentic living. The stakes of her company, her life choices, and her legacy began to take on an entirely new meaning. Jake's expression softened, realizing that her presence was an ally against the looming shadows of their families. Together, they could wield the truths buried within the letter as a tool for liberation. But how do we confront them? Jake challenged, the weight of fear palpable in his voice. We start with transparency. We expose the truth that has long been hidden. If they've manipulated our lives, if their legacy is intertwined with deception, then we have every right to challenge it, she declared, the fire of conviction illuminating her path forward. The words settled in the air thick with tension, packing an emotional punch. A new alliance formed, not solely bound by their family's history but by a mutual desire to carve out a new future, one uncolored by fear and manipulation. Lily thought of her company, the aspirations that felt more like obligations, as if the weight of her family's expectations bore down with each decision she made. In confronting the legacy outlined in the letter, she recognized a pivotal juncture. We both have the power to create change. It starts today. In that moment, she felt as though she were stepping out onto a precipice, peering over the edge at a future ripe with potential and uncertainty. As they leaned closer over the letter, deciphering intentions behind hidden agendas, Lily glimpsed her own ambitions redefined. Timing could never be more critical, she sensed a match of urgency and purpose. What if they come after us? Jake's anxiety flickered to the surface, and she could see remnants of his past fears creeping back in. They might try, she replied, her voice unwavering, but we will be ready. We won't be silenced again. The resolve in her words wrapped around them, binding their fates anew. A shared vision began to weave its way between them, threaded with courage and audacity. But deep down, a poignant uncertainty lingered. Would the confrontation with their families reveal strength, or would it strip away the very essence of who they were? As they stood poised on the brink of revelation, a new storm brewed, not outside but within her, the storm of impending choices, of challenging familial bonds, of redefining legacy. It was time to dig deeper. Who would emerge stronger as they faced the daunting consequences of the truth? The moment approached, one that could reshape the lives they had endured until now. As the wind rattled the window panes, signaling more tempestuous weather ahead, Lily wondered what hidden truths would rise from the depths, shrouded in darkness and deceit. Lily sat back, the letter still gripped in her hands, her mind a whirlwind of thoughts and emotions. The revelations about her family's manipulations rattled her core. A deep-seated desire to break free from those expectations surged within her, now mingling with a fresh sense of clarity. This moment felt pivotal, a turning point beckoning her to redefine her path. Her life had never felt so suspended in the balance. Let us draft a plan, she suggested, the spark of inspiration igniting her focus. If our families fear the truth, then we use that fear against them. They've thrived on secrets for too long, it's time to shift the power dynamics. Jake looked at her with renewed determination, the tension in his shoulders easing slightly. What do you propose? His voice was steadier, reflecting a readiness to embrace a bolder strategy. First, we need to compile evidence, all the communications, possible documents, anything that supports our claims. Transparency is our greatest asset, Lily replied, strategizing under the pressure of the moment. She could feel the stakes rising, and with them, a bubbling energy propelling her forward. She was no longer a passive player in a game set by others, she was ready to take control. As Jake opened his laptop, she noticed the subtle flickering of determination in his eyes as he began to type. In that instant, she felt a surge of camaraderie. They were both soldiers in a war declared long before they entered the battlefield. Their shared struggle became a unifying force, and it compelled her to go deeper into her own well of resolve. What if they retaliate? Jake's hesitation crept back in, vulnerable and raw. What if they hurt the people we care about? The thought stung, piercing through her hardened shell. It was a question that encapsulated not just her sense of safety but also the moral underpinnings of the confrontation they were about to initiate. Would their quest for truth inadvertently hurt those they loved? A cold shiver crept down her spine. We can't choose fear, Jake. It's a paralyzing state that prevents growth, Lily replied, grappling with her conflicting emotions. We must be willing to accept the risks that come with stepping into the light. Jake nodded, processing her words, but she could see the conflict in his eyes. They needed to ground their strategy with a sense of accountability both to themselves and those they sought to protect. Maybe we should discuss our plan with our close allies first. Our colleagues would stand with us, she suggested, increasingly aware of how loneliness begets fear. The thought of gathering support lit a flicker of hope within her. Trust is key, Jake agreed, a steadiness returning to his voice. He looked out the window, his gaze distant but resolute. And if they come for us, we'll be ready with our own support network. A new wave of determination rippled through her. If they approached this strategically, they wouldn't just confront the truth, they would create a foundation for their future. Lily envisioned a clear path unfolding before her. This could be more than just a chance for liberation. It could redefine her professional identity completely. What if they found allies among their colleagues who felt trapped as well? Let us meet tomorrow with the team, she proposed, feeling the momentum building like a storm ripening just before thunder. We'll lay out our findings and gauge their support. The more of us who know, the more power we have. With the plan set, they poured their energies into gathering materials, the atmosphere charged with an electric sense of anticipation. Each document and message extracted felt like a step toward reclamation. Hours passed, and as the evening drawing near, Lily felt a shift within herself. She was now actively pursuing agency, no longer bound by external forces. Her dreams were starting to coalesce around clarity and purpose, invigorating her spirit. Yet, lingering in the corners of her mind was a haunting question: what if they uncovered more than they bargained for? What if the truth unleashed forces darker than they could ever imagine? As she turned back to Jake, she saw the shadows in his eyes reflect her own fears. The path lay ahead, fraught with uncertainty, but they were no longer alone. They were armed with purpose, courageous enough to weather whatever storm awaited them. Tomorrow, we'll lift the veil, she whispered, feeling the intensity tighten in her chest. But what if we uncover something deeper, something truly dangerous? A silence fell between them, heavy with the weight of unanswered possibilities. The moment of truth was creeping closer, and with it, the promise of revelation and the threat of untold consequences. Lily awoke the following morning, her heart pounding with anxious anticipation. The sun was barely breaking through the horizon, illuminating the layers of dust in her otherwise darkened room. It felt as if the world outside was holding its breath, reflecting her own turbulent emotions. Today would signal a monumental leap, a tangible break from familial constraints and a foray into the transformative unknown. She moved instinctively, pulling on the first outfit she could find, something smart yet unassuming, appropriate for a day of confrontation and potential upheaval. As she buttoned her blouse, her mind raced through the logistics of the meeting ahead. Each detail required meticulous attention: the documents, the allies, the strategy. Everything had to be perfect, for they were about to dance with shadows, and one misstep could engulf them in darkness. Jake arrived early, a bundle of nerves mixed with determination. His paper-strewn laptop was open on her table, presenting fragments of their research. Ready? He asked, his voice steadier than she felt inside. Let us do this, Lily affirmed, forcing a smile that barely masked her fear. The facade she wore felt fragile, but there was no alternative. They were moving toward the unknown, a perilous endeavor fueled by necessity. As they walked to the office, the atmosphere thickened, each step bringing them closer not just to a conflict with their families but to a confrontation with themselves. The gravity of their actions loomed larger than life. When they entered the conference room, it was surprisingly empty. Lily took a moment to breathe, to gather what strength she could muster, visualizing the allies that would soon arrive. Her colleagues, the ones she had often viewed from a distance, were about to join her in this impromptu revolution. The thought felt surreal, yet the anticipation coursed through her veins like adrenaline. Soon after, their team trickled in, exchanging curious glances as they settled in. Lily took a deep breath, urging her heartbeat to steady. "Thank you all for coming on such short notice," she began, her voice resounding through the quiet room. "Jake and I have gathered some information that affects us all, information about our families and the secrets that have kept us marginalized." A murmur of confusion passed through the group, but Lily pressed on, dismissing her doubts. With a deliberate hand, she began distributing the documents, seeing the shifts in expressions as colleagues faced shreds of their own histories. "This is about truth," she continued, her conviction growing stronger. "These revelations can change how we function, not just at work, but in our personal lives as well. We can no longer be pawns in this game." As the room filled with a mixture of disbelief and realization, the air crackled with tension. She locked eyes with Jake. He exuded solidarity, a reminder that she was not alone in this fight. Yet, as questions began to arise, uncertainty seeped back into her thoughts. What if this trust would turn to betrayal? What if their allies had their own secrets, just waiting to be exposed? And then it happened. A firm knock on the door startled everyone, casting a shadow of unease that sent a chill through the room. The door swung open, revealing an unexpected figure, a family associate whose presence alone could derail everything they had just laid bare. "What is going on here?" he demanded, the authority in his voice imposing. "This looks uncharacteristically like trouble." Lily's heart raced, panic mounting as she faced the prospect of exposure. The walls were closing in, the gravity of their choices hitting hard. Had they ventured too far? Had they awakened forces they could not control? As tensions rose and eyes darted between her and the newcomer, Lily stood rooted, her mind churning. This reckoning could either be the foundation for her liberation or the beginning of their undoing. The delicate balance hung in the air, each breath laden with the possibility of confrontation. What if this is just the beginning? She thought, feeling the weight of her decisions settle heavily on her shoulders. The murmurs intensified as they all turned toward her, awaiting her response, confirmation or denial, defiance or retreat. She held the future in the balance, and a choice lay before her, teetering on the edge of revelation. But beneath it all, a deeper truth surged within her. The stakes were higher than she had anticipated, and the impending confrontation would challenge not only the system but also her very identity. What if standing tall today meant untangling a web of dark secrets that had entwined them all? She pondered, the weight of destiny pressing in. In that decisive moment, everything hinged on her next words, a moment trailing with uncertainty as she prepared to face consequences she could never have predicted. Lily's resolve hung precariously like an unsteady thread, swaying in the tension-filled air. All eyes were on her, their glances revealing a mixture of curiosity, fear, and expectation. She felt their weight, the collective anticipation burning into her skin, urging her to break the silence. "Before we answer that," she began, her voice firm but laced with uncertainty, "I want to clarify why we're here." Every syllable resonated, a counterpoint to the mounting pressure. Jake shuffled beside her, a silent encouraging presence in a tumultuous sea. "This is not just about secrets, it's about reclaiming our narratives from those who have dictated our lives for too long." A flicker of acknowledgement sparked among her colleagues. Awareness was dawning, illuminating the path they had chosen. Yet, she could sense doubt boiling below the surface. How would they react to what she had unearthed? Would they truly stand with her or retreat back to the safety of complacency? "Your families have played a role in turning a blind eye to the treatment we've all endured," Lily continued, focusing on the clock on the wall, watching it tick slowly, tauntingly. "We've been harnessed to a path not of our choosing. But that changes now." The authority figure shifted his weight, crossing his arms, a facade of indifference barely masking his readiness to strike. "You're playing a dangerous game, Lily. Sharing these documents could put you all in a position to finally stand up for ourselves," she interrupted, her conviction swelling. "That has to be worth something," doesn't it? I refuse to apologize for wishing to know the truth about who we are and how we've been treated. A ripple spread through the room, a subtle shift from passive observers to active participants. One colleague shot up from their seat, clenching the documents as if gripping a lifeline. You're right. We can't keep pretending that everything is fine. We deserve better. Lily felt embers of hope igniting in her chest. Maybe this was the revolution they needed all along. The conversation deepened, ideas bouncing between colleagues, transforming Lily's fear into a collective energy that felt almost electric. But then, the authority figure slammed a hand against the table, cutting through their burgeoning momentum. Enough. His voice was sharp, a reminder of the hierarchy looming above them. Containing a surge of panic, Lily locked eyes with Jake. He mirrored her conflicting emotions but encouraged her with an imperceptible nod. Lily steeled herself, knowing she needed to push back against the wave of intimidation. Are we really going to let fear dictate our lives? This information is ours. It's our right to know what has kept us subservient. The words felt like a spell, drawing them closer together. They began murmuring in agreement, and Lily found strength in their unity. Perhaps she could reshape the narrative after all. But as the room buzzed with energy, her thoughts darted back to the authority figure. If we're going to do this, we must be united, she said, sensing the shift in her group. But we also need to understand what we're up against. Do we have the strength to confront the repercussions of these revelations? Jake looked around the room. There was a hesitant resolve to fight back. We can't turn back now. It's time to be brave. Lily took a deep breath, inspiring herself as much as her colleagues, eyes flickering between certainty and doubt. But then the authority figure interjected once again, leaning in close, his voice low and ominous. You think you know the truth? What if it leads you to something far darker than any of you anticipated? Shivers darted down her spine as she contemplated the shadows lurking just beneath their surface of optimism. As uncertainty wove itself into their collective resolve, she wondered if they had truly grasped the depth of what they were challenging. In that moment, Lily realized the fight was not just about the secrets of their families, but about the truths they would inevitably unearth in themselves, a battle of identity, resilience, and self-acceptance. Everything, including her very soul, was at stake. With focused determination, she announced, if we are to do this, we must begin with one clear step. Do we choose to reveal the truth together, no matter the cost? The delicate balance of power had shifted, yet the air felt electric, charged with the awareness of the fight that lay ahead. Would they accept their fate as the architects of their own destinies or cower beneath the weight of inherited obligations? Lily's heart hammered in her chest, filled with uncertainty and excitement. A choice had been made. A new chapter had begun. But as the figure's warning echoed in her mind, the looming shadow of confrontation felt increasingly inevitable. As she glanced around the room, she could almost hear the whispers of their unspoken fears rising from the depths of their souls, and it left her wondering what truths would each of them be forced to embrace, and at what cost. The room held its breath, a fragile balance suspended in the charged atmosphere. Lily felt the weight of countless apprehensive gazes fixed upon her, as if awaiting the verdict of their fate. Her heart raced, the adrenaline of their collective resolve coursing through her veins. Behind her resolute facade, fears churned a torrent of thoughts and emotions rising like a storm within her. As her colleagues responded to her question with an encouraging murmur, she allowed a moment of silence to envelop them. This was a critical juncture, a moment suspended in time where decisions could change the trajectory of their lives. If we're going to step into the unknown together, we must be prepared for discomfort. For challenges that will test our very core, she stated, her voice gaining strength. Jake turned to look at her, his expression a flicker of admiration. Yet, underneath that admiration, Lily sensed his own hesitation simmering. A soft sigh escaped her, feeling the enormity of the task ahead. What would it mean for them to confront not only the authority figure's dominance but also the truths buried deep within themselves? Here lay the double-edged sword of discovery, freedom through revelation but entrapment by consequence. Let us organize, she suggested, her voice growing bolder with each syllable. We need teams to sift through the documents, to dig deeper. Who will be lead investigator? Who can analyze the data? Each one of us has a role to play in this. She scanned the room, her eyes catching the flicker of determination igniting in some faces while doubt clouded others. A fellow colleague, Maxine, stepped forward, her brow furrowing as she took the newly found energy of the group and infused it with her own. I can investigate the records pertaining to our families. I have a knack for detail, for piecing puzzles together, she stated, the fire in her voice reigniting the others. Lily felt a surge of hope, perhaps it wasn't just her narrative to rewrite. This burgeoning coalition, though fragile, was capable of crafting layers of truth that might rewrite countless narratives. Then it's decided, she encouraged, her excitement bubbling over in the slightest smile. Yet lurking beneath was the gnawing doubt, whispering things she was too afraid to speak. What if these revelations drew them into something that spiraled far beyond their comprehension? The authority figure's warning echoed in her mind. As they began to strategize, piecing together their approach, Lily wrestled with her doubts. This was uncharted territory. Each document held potential landmines waiting to detonate under their feet. The tension climbed, clawing at her gut just as the stakes rose. Just remember, Jake said, breaking through her frantic thoughts, this journey won't just bring the truth about our past, it's also an opportunity for us to discover who we truly are, behind all the masks we've been forced to wear. His statement grounded her for a moment, prompting a deep breath. Yes, they would unveil the masks all while risking the pain of what they might find hidden behind their surfaces. Would they emerge stronger or fragmented? Those thoughts seized her as they moved into planning. As discussions unfurled and ideas cascaded, a shadow suddenly passed over her flickering confidence. The authority figure's figure loomed larger than before in her mind. She knew he wouldn't simply concede defeat. The weight of his high stakes embedded fears deep in her psyche. Lily, Jake's voice broke her reverie, are we ready for the fallout? Because it's going to come. His gaze, earnest yet burdened, mirrored her anxiety. The realization sank in the battle ahead wasn't merely against the authority's control, but within their hearts. What cost would they bear to unravel these secrets? Uncertainty clenched her like a vice. The room began to buzz again with plans, but Lily felt an unshakable weight settle onto her, the knowledge that each truth they unearthed could either liberate them or sink them into despair. Let us be prepared, she asserted, a newfound clarity emerging. For every secret uncovered, every document scrutinized, we must stand together. No matter what we face. As they agreed, a resolve fortified by unspoken camaraderie permeated the atmosphere. Yet even as optimism swelled, dread lingered just beneath the surface, a silent whisper warning her that their greatest challenges lay ahead. The first stirrings of their collective investigation had begun, but Lily feared it was only a matter of time before the authority figure struck back. What would they uncover about themselves in that process? And, moreover, what if their very identities and futures hinged on the layers of truth waiting to be unearthed? As they prepared to delve deeper, the call for courage echoed once more in her thoughts, amplifying her awareness of the conflict waiting just beyond the reach of their knowledge. The deeper and more dangerous the path they chose, the more it felt like they were not only wrestling with the past but potentially unearthing monsters they weren't ready to face. How far would the shadows stretch, and what truths would she ultimately have to confront in the light? The following days felt like a whirlwind. The documents piled high on Lily's desk, each one an invitation to uncover twisted truths. With Maxine leading the investigation of familial records, the atmosphere buzzed with tension and expectancy. Jake, motivated by ambition and doubt, took on the analysis of raw data. This unraveling journey now rested on their collective shoulders. Yet, amid the rising productivity, an unsettling awareness lurked inside Lily. As colleagues energetically debated findings and strategies, she felt a disconnect, as if her mind were tethered to a separate plane of reality. What began as inspiration morphed into dread. Could they withstand the burden of what they might find? Every document they combed through could peel away layers of her very identity. She often found her fingers tracing the edges of the papers, the words blurring into a fog of anxiety. Each line held the potential to reel them into a deeper abyss, where the authority figure's shadow would loom larger than life. The warning she had felt was no longer a whisper, it had morphed into a pervasive echo in the fabric of her thoughts. One afternoon, after a heated brainstorming session, Lily excused herself to collect her thoughts. In the sanctuary of her office, she stared at her reflection in the glass window. Who was she becoming? The brave leader of an inquiry, or merely a pawn in a game far beyond her grasp? The sharp lines of her anxieties cut through the facade of courage she had so diligently built. As the sun dipped below the horizon, a decision rippled through her. She needed clarity. In the days that followed, she immersed herself in the heart of their discoveries. Articles detailing the authority figure's past relationships, his tactics of manipulation, and even vague references to instances of deceit surfaced. Instead of empowerment, anxiety transformed into a smoldering inferno. What would it mean for them, revealing an intricate tapestry woven with lies? The group soon gathered around their makeshift war room, poring over findings until late into the night. Lily's voice grew steadier as she began facilitating conversations, framing points, and urging the team to share ideas. Yet inside, she was battling a consuming force doubt. It clawed at her mind, each revelation only deepening the complexity of her mission. Lily, Jake said, breaking her focus one evening, you're leading us. But are you leading yourself too? You're holding back. What's beneath? His eyes searched hers, unearthing truths she long kept hidden. The room froze as she grappled with the ultimatum hidden in his words. With the authority figure watching from the shadows, was she really capable of growing stronger without unraveling her own psyche? Hot tears pricked her eyes, and she fought against them, afraid of appearing vulnerable in this moment of urgency. I'm afraid, she finally confessed, vulnerability creeping in. The weight of her leadership hung heavily on her shoulders, and for once, she shared the burden. What if unearthing these truths shatters us instead of allowing us to rebuild? What if what we discover about him reveals more about ourselves than we're prepared to handle? Gazes turned to her, their expressions a mix of empathy and introspection. They were not just embroiled in a quest for facts, they were navigating the treacherous passage of self-discovery. An uneasy camaraderie settled in, binding them closer as they faced fears previously concealed beneath ambition. Together, we face it, Maxine asserted firmly. It's as much about knowing ourselves as it is about exposing him. We all wear masks, but perhaps it's finally time to choose which ones to shed. These words echoed deep within. She felt a flicker of hope. This journey was about unearthing more than past lies. It was about reclaiming their narratives, re-establishing agency over their lives. But would they really have the strength to confront not only the authority figure's darkness but also the shadows of their own? Just as a flicker of confidence ignited, a sharp notification buzzed from Lily's phone. A message flooded her with dread, a final warning from the authority figure, taunting them to retreat, threatening what lay ahead. The darkness loomed closer, and with it, the realization that the path ahead would demand sacrifices they may not be willing to make. In that moment, Lily understood the full gravity of what they faced, and the questions loomed heavier than ever. How far were they willing to go to reclaim their truths? And above all, what secrets truly lay hidden within them? Lily's hands trembled slightly as she read the authority figure's message again, a sickening knot tightening in her stomach. You're playing a dangerous game, Lily. Consider this your last warning. The implications of his words were haunting. It was as if he'd drawn a line in the sand, forcing her to confront an ultimatum that came cloaked in threats. With determination simmering beneath her fear, she turned to her team. We need to take a step back, she said, her voice wavering between authority and uncertainty. This isn't just about documents anymore. It's a battle for our identities. She watched their faces transform as they absorbed the weight of her declaration. Was it too late for retreat, or did this moment present an opportunity for them to forge a new path? Lily, we're already in too deep, Jake interjected, his brows furrowed in concern. Backing down now could jeopardize everything we've uncovered. Or it could save us, she countered, feeling an edge of defiance fracture through her doubt. She had been so wrapped up in revealing the authority figure's hidden truths that she had momentarily lost sight of her own. What was it she truly wanted? Was she willing to risk her mental safety for a man who had proven to be a master manipulator, using fear as his weapon? In the silence that followed, she sensed the collective anxiety in the room, thick as fog. It dawned on her that this wasn't just a mission to expose a corrupt authority, it was a journey of reconciliation with their own fears, confronted through the lens of their investigation. Each of them was grappling with parts of themselves that they had long neglected. I think we all have masks we wear, Maxine spoke up, echoing her previous sentiment. But what if we turned this around? We need to expose not just him, but our own strengths. Her tone shifted from contemplation to fierce resolve. This is about our evolution. The idea struck a harmonious chord. What if facing their personal battles head-on would allow them to uncover truths not just about the authority figure, but also about their individual strengths and capabilities? Lily felt the stirrings of possibility mingle with her doubt. Let us identify our limits, she proposed, emboldened by Maxine's insight. What fears are holding each of us back from achieving what we want here? What's one truth we've hidden from ourselves? As the discussion unfolded, vulnerabilities that had been locked away began to surface. Jake admitted that he feared failure more than anything else. It made him second-guess his invaluable insights. Maxine craved validation that she often felt she didn't deserve, having been continually overshadowed in her career. The confessions built upon one another, creating a tapestry of shared struggles. Lily participated, revealing that she had always viewed leadership as an obligation rather than an opportunity, a heavy mantle that often suffocated her authenticity. In that raw honesty, she found strength. Vulnerability was a catalyst for empowerment. I have to believe we can turn this all around, she said, her voice steadying as she spoke. Yes, we are facing a storm, but if we know what we're capable of, we can change our trajectories. The night deepened as they forged a new strategy, shifting focus from mere exposure to a collective reclamation of their narratives. They would not allow the authority figure's shadow to define them. Instead, they would stand in their truths, transforming fear into the driving force behind their mission. But a sense of foreboding still loomed over them. As resolve solidified within the group, the unresolved threat from the authority figure cast a long shadow. How would he react to their newfound unity and determination? Just as they were about to share their redefined objectives, the lights flickered ominously. The sudden interruption sent a shiver through the room, amplifying their unease. Had the authority figure already begun to retaliate? Lily's heart raced. This wasn't just about uncovering darkness anymore. It was a delicate dance with danger, both within and outside. As the lights flickered back on, a series of emails flooded their project shared drive, a list of names and secrets tied to the authority figure, detailing his connections to others just as unscrupulous. Looks like we might have more than we bargained for, Jake whispered, drawing closer to the screen. Lily's breath hitched, realizing this could tilt their fight dramatically. Were these allies or more enemies ready to entangle them in deeper webs of deceit? In that moment, the stakes soared, and Lily understood that while facing external threats was daunting, navigating the treacherous terrain of human connections bore its own challenges. Would they emerge stronger, or would this unforeseen twist unravel all they had created? The time had come to confront not just the authority figure, but the alliances around him and discover who, if anyone, could truly be trusted. As the dawn broke over the farmhouse, illuminating the remnants of chaos from the previous night, Lily felt an unmistakable shift within herself. She awoke brimming with clarity and resolve, grounded by the revelations and confessions shared among her team. Clarity infused her mission. The upcoming confrontation with the authority figure now served not just as a necessity but as an opportunity for authentic transformation. With each passing moment, the haunting shadows of external threats began to recede, allowing the light of introspection to shine through. The unveiling of personal truths had rekindled a fire within not only herself but within her entire team. As they geared up for the meeting, Lily experienced something monumental. An overwhelming sense of empowerment surged inside her. She had ultimately forged a new identity. Rather than being merely a figurehead trapped by legacy and expectation, she had stepped into her role as an architect of change, a warrior ready to reclaim her narrative. As they gathered around the table, a newfound camaraderie filled the space. Jake stood by her side with unwavering support. Today is more than just about exposing the authority figure, he stated, meeting the eyes of each team member. It's about recognizing the power we hold together. Lily nodded, understanding that this endeavor transcended personal stakes. they were fighting for the integrity of their choices and aspirations. We may face obstacles, but we have the knowledge, unity, and strength to ignite a transformation, she declared, her voice resonating with an assertive confidence. With renewed enthusiasm, they decided to employ their findings not just as weapons against the past but as tools for shaping their futures. This moment would define them, not only against the authority figure but within their very lives. As they delved deeper into their research, piecing together each document, Lily felt an undeniable power surging through her. Every secret uncovered became a stepping stone to empowerment. With carefully crafted arguments and undeniable evidence, they crafted a presentation designed not only to reveal the truth they had unearthed but to challenge the legacy that had long held them captive. When presentation day arrived, the stakes felt monumental. In the same conference room filled with echoes of doubt not long ago, they now stood united, a formidable force woven together by their stories, transformations, and resolute desire for authenticity. As the authority figure entered the room, his face twisted into a mixture of disbelief and disdain at the sight before him. Lily held her ground, inviting him to sit as they began sharing their discoveries. She articulated each point with poise and confidence, emphasizing their commitment to accountability and transparency. "You've built a power structure based on deception and manipulation," she asserted boldly. "We refuse to be your pawns any longer. Our stories matter. Our choices matter." The air crackled with tension as he squirmed under the weight of their testimonies. In that moment, she felt a surge of exhilaration coursing through her veins, a sense of liberation that surpassed anything she had ever experienced. They were no longer defined by their familial expectations, they had power beyond comprehension. What followed was a revelation not just for them but for the authority figure as well. His facade shattered in the face of their unwavering unity, revealing a profound insecurity that had driven his oppressive behavior all along. This was a turning point, not just for Lily and her colleagues, but for the entire structure that had long sought to control them. Over the following weeks, their efforts demanded further confrontation. The authority figure was eventually unseated, his authority dismantled much like their own shackles had been. The world outside felt unfamiliar yet invigorating. The possibilities seemed endless. As Lily stood at the helm of her revitalized company, she looked out over a field blossoming with potential, one where the seeds of bravery and authenticity had been sown. She felt a proud swell in her chest. Mission accomplished. Her personal growth had ignited professional success. No longer simply the heir to her family legacy, she had become a pioneer of change. In taking the reins of her own narrative, she had not only salvaged her dignity but revitalized an entire legacy with a bold new vision. Lily Thompson, formerly the cautious billionaire, had emerged a trailblazer, confident and competent, one who now wore her past as armor for future victories. Every day she leaned into her role with unwavering commitment, guiding others toward authenticity. It was a journey she had once doubted she could embrace, and yet here she stood, defiant and transformed. This was her moment, a monumental resolution born from the ashes of turmoil and doubt. If you found this captivating, you need to subscribe now. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your support because it truly makes a difference. Comment below with your reactions and theories about this transformative ending. Don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Your support shapes our community.